Now who's not scabbing these days? You know who's not scabbing these days? A young little whippersnapper by the name of Joseph Robinette Biden.
Some remarks by President Biden on the contract negotiations between U.S. automakers and the United Auto Workers Union, both sides failing to reach an agreement last night before the midnight deadline. The president spoke at the White House earlier this afternoon.
I know it's a bit off topic, but I absolutely have watched so much Mr. Manticore and the Monument Mythos that in my head I'm just prepping myself for like for a weird departure here.
I'll be very brief. I want to talk very briefly about the auto strike. I'd like to say a few words about the contract negotiations between the United Auto Workers and the Big Three auto companies. I've been in touch with both parties since this began over the last few weeks and over the past decade. Auto companies have seen record profits, including the last few years, because of the extraordinary skill and sacrifices of the UAW workers. But those record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers. Just as the Treasury Department has released a report pointing out that the most comprehensive report ever dealing with how unions are good for both union workers and non-union workers.
Hell yeah.
And the overall economy. Unions raise workers' wages, they said, incomes, increase home ownership, increase retirement savings, increase access to critical benefits like sick leave and child care, and reduce inequality, all of which strengthen our economy for all workers. That's because unions raise standards across the workplaces and entire industries, pushing up wages and strengthening benefits for everyone. That's why strong unions are critical to a growing economy and growing it from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. That's especially true as we transition to a clean energy future, which we're in the process of doing. I believe that transition should be fair and a win-win, for auto workers and auto companies. But I also believe the contract agreement must lead to a vibrant, made-in-America future that promotes good, strong, middle-class jobs that workers can raise a family on. Where the UAW remains at the heart of our auto economy, and where the Big Three companies continue to lead in innovation, excellence, quality, and leadership. Last night, after negotiations broke down, the UAW announced a targeted strike at a few Big Three auto plants. Let's be clear. No one wants a strike. Say it again. No one wants a strike. But I respect workers' right to use their options under the collective bargaining system. And I understand the workers' frustration. Over generations, auto workers sacrificed so much to keep the industry alive and strong, especially through the economic crisis and the pandemic. Workers deserve a fair share of the benefits they helped create for an enterprise. I do appreciate that the parties have been working around the clock. And when I first called them at the very first day of the negotiations, I said, please stay at the table as long as you can to try to work this out. And they've been around the clock, and the companies have made some significant offers. But I believe they should go further to ensure record corporate profits mean record contracts for the UAW. Let me say that again. Record corporate profits, which they have, should be shared by record contracts for the UAW. And just as we're building an economy of the future, we need labor agreements for the future. It's my hope that the parties can return to the negotiation table to forge a win-win agreement. To continue our active engagement, I'm dispatching 2 members of my team to Detroit, Acting Labor Secretary Julie Hsu and White House Senior Advisor Gene Sperling, both of them have been involved up to now, to offer their full support for the parties in reaching a contract. The bottom line is that auto workers help create America's middle class. They deserve a contract that sustains them in the middle class. So thank you very much. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Based Biden. Yeah, no, look, it's so good. It's so good that the President of the United States is coming out in support of one of the largest strikes in the country. And, like, it's really hard to, like, it's hard to overstate how big of a deal it is to have this type of institutional support. And on top of that, I think that it comes with like a really good point, which is just, and I think it's something that we should use for every single one of these strikes. And it's that record profits should come with record contracts. You know? Record profits should equal record contracts. Only until unions cross government? Well, yeah. But you know what? I'll take what I can get, Neron. Just too bad he didn't do the same for the railroad workers. Yeah, and like they did win concessions after the fact. Like the Biden administration continued to get like concessions, but like still not nearly good enough, you know? And like seriously, like this strike in particular kind of just highlights the heinousness of capital, right? So on the one hand, you have workers, right? And these workers are basically getting just absolutely fucked. And they're getting fucked because auto manufacturing contracts are usually pretty good, right? But also, these contracts that they're working under haven't been updated in years. And the auto manufacturers simply ignore the contracts that they sign by hiring temporary workers who are basically fulfilling full-time jobs. So it's riddled with these abuses of workers to undervalue their labor. And the person who most benefits from this is the people like General Motors CEO Mary Barra, who astonishingly agreed to go on a CNN interview. And I haven't seen the full thing, but she doesn't come out of this. She doesn't come out of this looking particularly good.
In Detroit with the CEO of General Motors, Mary Barra. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning, Poppy. Here at GM headquarters with Mary Barra, who is speaking to us about the latest developments on the strike today. Thank you so much for being here. GM and the union could not come to an agreement before the midnight deadline. Why is that?
Well,
Hey,
I
Kevin,
think that's a question you probably need to ask the UAW, because we have a very compelling offer on the table. I'm very frustrated because I think we had an offer that resonates with our people. It's a historic offer. Gross wage increases of 20% that compound to 21%, maintaining world-class health.
But by the way, note that when she said, "Oh, we're offering a raise of 20% across the board to our workers," keep in mind, hey, Metal Kitty Mom, that what the workers are asking for is an immediate, I believe, 25% increase, then with subsequent 5% raises over the next several years, so that overall they would have a 41% raise. So her generous offer is literally half of what of what they're asking for.
Here, there's several aspects as well, but I think one thing that's most important is job security. And, you know, we're in an incredibly exciting time in this industry right now as we make the transformation from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles. And General Motors is well poised. We have a pipeline coming. And so when we
also I just felt compelled to point this out. Mary Barra. Wanted to look up real quick. Come on, where is it? I saw it while I was doing research for this article, or this segment. Mary Barra gave like a talk back in June about how this year they were like General Motors was going to like shake up the industry. I don't think this is what she had in mind when she gave that hour-long presentation.
We look at that and we look at how this could, delay that. It's at a critical juncture. So we have a deal that I think is very, very important. That proposal sits.
Oh, I found it. Yeah. GM CEO Mary Barra, 2024 will be dramatically different for the company. Amazing.
At the table. Our team is ready to be at the table again. They're waiting, and we need to get back. We need the UAW leadership to get back to the table, get these issues resolved so we can get people back to work.
The UAW also struck against GM in 2019, so 2 strikes in 4 years. What do you think you're getting wrong?
Well, I think each of those are very different, and I think 19 had its whole set of issues, very different. It take a long time to go through all of that. But if you look at where we are right now, we understand the world has changed. And that's why we put a historic offer on the table with the increases. I think our manufacturing team is the best on the field. The way they manage.
Okay, but keep in mind, like literally offering them like a 1% increase over what they're making would be a historic offer on the table. Like, oh, it's historic. We've never paid them 1% more than what they're making now. Like, nah. Give them what they're demanding. She sounds like my old boss when you ask about why his department has such high turnover rate. But yeah, well, polydactyl black cat, that's because our system turns these people into interchangeable cogs,
Managed through the COVID situation and continue to build cars, trucks, and crossover the way that we managed, and they, moved with us as we went through the semiconductor shortage.
Yeah, you got a massive government bailout to continue paying all of your workers. Don't pretend that the COVID payments you were making were out of the goodness of your heart. I'm sure some of that money got pocketed somewhere by investors.
And still the supply challenges that we see today, they're very resilient. And I want to recognize them because our manufacturing team, along with the engineering team, for the last 2 years has been #1 in JD Power quality. So we have a very talented team. We've put a historic offer
unicorn
on the table.
on the cob.
And so that's why I'm so disappointed and frustrated.
The union is asking for a 40% wage increase over 4 years. They're asking for that in part because they say CEOs like yourself, leading the big 3, are making those kind of pay increases over the course of the last 4 years. You've seen a 34% pay increase in your salary. You make almost $30 million. Why should your worker...
Hey, wait a minute. I agreed to be in a CNN interview. You're supposed to ask me softball questions, not you aren't supposed to ask me why I deserve a 35% increase to my wages, and they don't.
not get the same type of pay increases that you're getting leading the company.
Well, if you look at compensation, my compensation, 92% of it is based on performance of the company. I think one of the strong aspects of the way our compensation for our represented employees is designed is not only are we putting a 20% increase on the table, we have profit sharing.
Also, just as an FYI, just in case you got a little bamboozled by like the 92%, keep in mind 92% of $30 million is still, or 8% of $30 million is still millions of dollars.
So when the company does well, everyone does well. And for the last several years, that's resulted in record profit sharing for our represented employees. And I think you have to look at the whole compensation package, not only 20% increase in gross wage, but also the profit sharing aspect of it, world-class health care, and there's several other features. So
yeah, but your temporary workers aren't getting profit sharing and they aren't getting health care because they're temporary workers not covered under the previous contract. So you're just lying through your teeth about this.
So we think we have a very competitive offer on the table, and that's why we want to get back there and get this done.
But if you're getting a 34% pay increase over 4 years and you're offering 20% to employees right now, do you think that's fair?
Well, I think when you look at the
it's really great when you find an interview like this where like the rich the rich asshole is like being basically held at gunpoint on camera, because like the obvious answer here is yes, that's deeply, deeply unfair, right? Like obviously the answer is that it's deeply unfair. Now we get to watch her squirm and just not be able to answer the question. Also, hey, Jiksas. Also, profit sharing is also very vague and can mean a lot of things. Where I work, that means we get up to $200 for profit sharing per full-time employee. It's not really a percentage of what the company makes. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. Often it can mean like stock compensation, but that's usually more for like higher level employees. People at the bottom of the level in like the manufacturing plant generally aren't being compensated in stock.
The overall structure and the fact that 92% is based on performance, and you look at what we've been doing of sharing in the profitability when the company does well, I think we've got a very compelling offer on the table, and that's the focus I have right now.
So let's talk about profits, because in 2009, GM filed for bankruptcy.
She's like, I just talked about the offer we have on the table. Why aren't we talking about the offer we have on the table? You're talking about profits. I don't want to talk about profits.
Bankruptcy was bailed out by the U.S. government. Workers made concessions to keep their jobs, to keep the company alive. Why shouldn't workers be entitled to what they gave up 15 years ago, especially since GM is making record profits right now?
Well, first of all, this is a very cyclical business, and we've
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't aware, workers in the auto industry like gave up a lot of protections and stuff that's pretty crucial. I think things like pensions got cut. A lot of things just got thrown under the bus in order to try and like desperately not have plants shut down. Because again, you know, when a local plant gets shut down, it basically means that the entire community around it also dies. So a lot of people were willing to take like pay cuts and like pension cuts and stuff like that. Yeah, they gave it up in the 2009 contract. And so much, sorry, I don't know why my mouth made that sound. Much of that, much of those concessions were never returned in subsequent contracts. Never. Even as profits continued to soar. Well, exactly, Malachi. It's cyclical, but it's cyclical in the way that capitalism is cyclical. You socialize the losses and privatize the gains. And that can apply both in a broad sense to society and taxation and companies kind of getting that sweet, sweet corporate welfare. It can also apply to companies fleecing their employees and cutting benefits.
Had a very strong run. I think part of that is because of the demand for the economy and what we've been through with unprecedented with COVID and semiconductor challenges. But we have to remember we're a cyclical business. We also have to remember this is a pivotal point in the auto industry for everyone as we make this 100-year transformation from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles. We need to make sure we can invest in both to maintain the jobs that we have. And I think if you look at many aspects of the agreement,
yeah, you wouldn't want to invest in the workers making those products possible and that transition possible. You wouldn't want to be able to invest in them because fuck them.
It is getting at the specific issues of some of the different challenges in different ways, because no compensation system, I think, anywhere is the same as it was 15, 20 years ago. So we have to...
Oh shit, the Teamsters president already guaranteed no deliveries for UAW plants while on strike. It's expected, but that adds another thorn in the side of the auto industry to get around. I mean, good luck, man. Like when these unions start coming together, it's really incredible what they can do.
Look at where we are. We have to look at the future. And at General Motors, we want to recognize the hard work of our manufacturing employees. We have a historic deal on the table over the best economics in over 115 years. And that's what we have on the table. We want to, finish the negotiations, problem solve, and get people back to work.
I spoke to your counterpart, Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, and he said that if Ford meets all of the demands that the union has, that Ford would go bankrupt. Is that the same case for General Motors?
When you look at the original demands, they totaled over $100 billion. That's more by quite a factor than we've made over the life of this agreement, and frankly, more than almost double the market cap of the company right now. So that's why we have to have a realistic offer. We want to make sure we reward the hardworking men and women of General Motors and the work they do every day, and we think that's what we have on the table.
But is that bankruptcy level demands?
Well, if if you're asking for more than the company made, I think that's not a good position.
So Sean Fain has obviously made some ambitious demands on the companies. There's no question about that. Do you believe that Sean Fain is setting his members up for disappointment in the end?
I think that's a question that you should probably talk to Sean Fain. I think there's many of our employees who really understand the reality of the situation. I think they'll see this is a record.
You can tell she's scared. She can't even badmouth Sean Fain on TV. Like she's scared to give an answer to a question that honestly should be kind of like a layup for her to like attack her opponent, and she just can't do it because she knows she's in an untenable position.
A record agreement when we look at the gross wage increases, when we look at where we are in healthcare, when we look at the additional benefits that we've added as a part of this very, very strong offer that sits on the table. I think they're going to understand that because they also, and I visit a lot of...
I mean, it sounds like the union also has a very, very strong offer on the table. Maybe you should take it.
Plants. I'm in 1 to 2 plants every month, and I've been doing that for years. So
exactly, Gamer G.
Listen to them.
Exactly. If she thought she could get away with it, she would absolutely take a massive dump on Sean Fain on television. But she can't because she knows that the position that they're in is weak, and I frankly, she strikes me as the kind of person who's going to crumble in the face of the union. So keep your fingers crossed, boys, gals, and non-binary pals.
They want to know that their facility is getting a new product. And to get a new product, we have to have the money to design, engineer, and install all the tooling and equipment to do that. And so it's important, and I think they understand you need to do both. They want to make sure General Motors is here for the next 115 years just as much as I do. And I think everybody needs to understand that and get serious, get to the table. We have a strong agreement. Like I said, it's a record agreement. I think we're in a good position to get this done.
Just quickly, last question. You spoke to President Biden yesterday. What was that conversation?
So I've been speaking to many members of Congress and the administration, and I'm going to continue to give them an update. I'm going to continue to make sure they know we have a strong offer. We're negotiating in good faith, and we have since July 18th when the negotiations started. We've been given over 1,000 demands, and we have to talk about each and every one of those. So we're doing the work. We want to get people back to work. Again, I think we have the best manufacturing team on the field right now. And we're at an exciting juncture. We need to get people back to work so we can maintain our GM momentum and win and keep our position of selling more vehicles in this country than anyone else. And we think we can grow with the EV portfolio we have on top of our internal combustion engine. So, we're going to keep keeping everybody up to speed. But the most important is to get the UAW leadership back to the table so we can get this resolved.
So, Altfac asked, does this mean you think she's somewhat humane or weak? Neither. I think her position is incredibly weak. I think she lacks the power and ability to outlast a meaningful strike by the union. And I feel like her position is probably untenable to the investors of General Motors. I don't know how to put this. The stockholders of General Motors are, pretty, I think, susceptible to bad PR, and they don't want to lose money on their investment. And a strike like what is currently happening is absolutely tanking the long-term prospects of the company. If they really wanted to get people back to work, they would have made a lot more concessions before the strike. True. I love it. Let them be scared. They do not care about workers. They absolutely do not care about workers. UAW and Sean are not stupid. I hope they lose sleep over this and then will still not equal what the workers have dealt with. Absolutely. Right there with you. And like even Donald Trump knows, right, that this is really important. So he's skipping the Republican second primary debate that's scheduled for next Wednesday to talk to auto workers in Detroit. Basically talking to both current and former union members, which really, I mean, like when a Republican presidential candidate is meeting with union people and giving a talk intended for union people, like, I mean, that's a pretty good indication that like this is a really honkin' big deal, you know? And I gotta be honest, it's a little bit concerning. It's a little bit concerning that this move is being done. That Trump is going to be going to the auto workers in Detroit, because that is a disturbingly savvy move on Donald Trump's part. You know, his entire campaign has been pretty not great so far, but unfortunately the additional pressures of you know, being indicted multiple times and also, you know, doing these gestures and getting himself out there again, it's having an effect on his poll numbers, and it's not good. It's not good. CBS News put together this YouGov poll, and I mean, like, we can look at the methodology if you guys want, but this is bad news. It's not good. These numbers are very bad, actually. Oh, Todd Pemper, you have a good week, and thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you come back soon. Yeah, no, this is really bad news. This is not great. It's scary. So we need to be aware that Donald Trump is pivoting towards more pro-union adjacent positions, which is, you know, it's not bad to have more support for unions, but I'm not going to put money down. Well, I would put money on that any plan Donald Trump has for unions, it's to destroy them. So. Oh, I will, Kyryu, I will. Also, just in case you bought any of what she said about caring about workers, this is from today, the UAW strike day 4. General Motors threatens to send 2,000 workers home, and Ford cuts 600 jobs. So we're in full-on, like, retaliatory class warfare at this point. You know, like, General Motors is trying to, like, scare off striking workers. Ford is trying to just fire as many people as they can to weaken the movement. And I mean, all of this is illegal, like, anti-union action. Like, it's explicitly illegal, but it remains to be seen if anything will be done about it. Because, again, companies like Ford and General Motors generally build up a lot of plausible deniability so that they can, you know, get away with scum fuckery like this. Yeah, Trump being pro-union is about as real as Donald Trump being pro-trans people. And speaking of caring about the workers, here is a story from More Perfect Union about, the situation temporary workers go through when they work for these auto manufacturers. So here we go with that.
The only time that I got off was I physically got sick, like exhausted, and went to the ER, and that was how I got a day off. They will literally work you until you fall.
I have to work 2 jobs, and that takes a lot of time from my kids. It takes a lot of time from my family.
Occasionally I will get shipped in on Sunday, so I will work.
I'm sorry, there's no reason for someone who's making cars, one of the most lucrative, industries, automotive vehicles in the United States. There's no reason for someone who's building those cars to be working multiple jobs. Hey, no look at Flash. Also, hello, Purple Dragon Guy.
7 days in a row, which would be 70 hours.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are just crybabies, and it's like, no, we're not. We shouldn't have to work this hard, go through all these hoops just to make a living. Like, having a union job used to mean something.
For half the pay of full-time workers. This is, again, how they constantly cut workers off at the shins. I have 2 brothers that work at Toledo Jeep. Hope they're full-time.
I see full-timers, they can work 40 hours a week and they're good.
Well, yeah, no, that's the thing, Forlorn. It's done to maximize profits, because profit maximization happens at the expense of consumers and at the expense of workers. Those company profits come from fucking over workers and the consumer. That's where they come from.
Good. I would like to work 40 hours a week and be able to take care of my family.
It just sucks. We're working full-time hours. Why am I still only a supplemental? Why am I still only a temp if I'm doing the exact same amount as a full-timer?
So full-timers, they make double what we make.
The girl working next to me is literally making $32 an hour, and I'm sitting a little over 17. There's no difference in what we are doing. We are physically doing the same jobs.
As a supplemental, you
So the temps work more for less? Bingo.
start out at $15.78 an hour. After 4 years, you reach the maximum you can get, $19.28 an hour. You cannot get any more raises after that. When it comes to full-time, they start out at $17 an hour, and they cap out at $32 an hour. I'm currently capped out at $19.28 an hour.
Your full-timers that have the 401ks and the top out at 32 or 33 get their days off, their profit sharing, their health, dental, vision.
We don't get quality bonuses, we don't get sick pay, we don't get bereavement.
We're not making what we should be making, and that's not me being a greedy millennial, that's the truth.
37 days without a day off. Jesus
Being at
Christ.
the bottom, you kind of get what nobody wants to do.
So it starts to toll on you, and you could be 25 feeling like you're 45.
When I was on the line, I ended up having a seizure. I was terrified. Honestly, I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna die there at work. And I ended up having to have a brain surgery. After the surgery,
Oh my God.
I was out of work for a while. And as a SC, we don't get paid sick leave. So I had to basically come back as soon as possible because I had no money coming in. They were marking me absent even though I was in the ER, even though they know I left work in the ambulance. I was terrified that I was gonna lose my job and I'd have absolutely nothing to come back to.
I've missed funerals. I've missed birthdays. I'm gonna try not to curse, but it feels like trash.
So, wait. Ford and GM offer temporary workers permanent roles after 2 years. So you have to work 2 years shoveling shit at the same job as your coworkers before they offer you a permanent full-time contract. That is absolutely unacceptable. And then Stellantis doesn't have a limit on how long workers can be considered temporary, which means they keep being temporary forever.
I didn't realize that coming into it. I didn't know that there was people there for 7, 8 years who aren't full-time yet.
It's something I've just been waiting for so long to happen that I've put so much off. Like, I could have gone to other places and make more than I'm making now, but I've held on to the hope that I will roll over at some point because I love my job. I love making the Jeeps. I'm proud of the Jeeps. I want to be a part of the Jeep history, so it's something I want to stay a part of.
This time around, we're like, no, these are things we want, and we don't want to back down.
Oh, fuck yeah. The United Auto Workers are demanding temporary workers become full-time after 90 days. Oh my god. Imagine going from, like, just indefinite, you have no idea when you're going to become full-time, and then it's just 3 months. You have to spend 3 months on the job, and you become full-time. That sounds absolutely reasonable, absolutely doable. And it's so much better than even 2 years.
I've been told throughout this thing that we've set expectations too high. You're damn right we have.
I would like to see a time cap on how long you can be a part-time worker. I'd like to see a lot of the ones that have been here already, you know, me, myself included, become full-time, have that opportunity.
We can make it better. Will it be overnight? No, but I want to be part of that and help make it better if I can.
And I want a steady schedule. I don't want just, oh, hey, you got to come in. Well, what if I got plans? Well, that sucks. You got to cancel them plans. You got to come in. It's so frustrating.
I don't live to work, but it's felt like that for a while. You know, I want to, you know, work and be able to live.
I know for a fact a lot of people that have physically said if this contract is trash, they're leaving. They might not have a lot of supplementals if they don't treat us right this next contract.
I will be one of the first ones on that line, picketing, striking, ready to go. I'm sure there's thousands of employees ready to go.
Nearly 99% of us voted yes to support a strike. That's proof Toledo's ready.
Hell yeah. Get him, girl. Also, if you guys don't follow More Perfect Union, like, they're making some incredible content right now. Just absolute bangers every single video they put out. Also, just as an FYI, this is likely turning into something that's a bit more international, which is really interesting. In addition to striking against plants in the United States, Sean Fain and the United Auto Workers Union is looking to strike against Ford in Canada and its Canadian manufacturing plants as well. So this is something that could spill over into a multinational union battle, which is amazing. Amazing! The Canadian contract at this Ford facility, well, it covers 5,600 workers at facilities across Canada, and that contract expires at midnight tonight, actually. Yeah, it doesn't look like they've averted anything. And the name of the name of the Canadian union is Unifor. But Unifor and the United Auto Workers Union, I believe, work together pretty extensively. So negotiations are actually, as of 2 minutes ago, continuing into the night tonight And the union just tweeted out negotiations between Unifor and Ford Motor Company are continuing with a late caucus meeting scheduled to take place within the hour. A reminder that Unifor Ford members should remain on shift unless they receive explicit instructions from the union indicating otherwise. Which means they are right on the verge of going on strike in Canada as well, which is, I think, pretty goddamn cool. Archangel, hope you're feeling better on the mend after your surgery. Also, I think this is worth taking a look at because these labor actions across the United States aren't going unnoticed. You know, people are paying attention. People from other industries are paying attention and demanding better for themselves. And I found this piece from Democracy Now! Pretty good at kind of illustrating what's happening right now.
Your response to what happened last night at midnight, thousands of auto workers going out on strike in a targeted strike against three of the automakers, the big three automakers. Talk about the significance of this.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I love the show. Yeah, this is an historic moment, as you said, the first time in history that all big three auto workers will be striking. And it's inspiring to see, you know, the solidarity between all of the auto workers, not just auto workers, but workers from all around. You know, this is going to make it's going to be beneficial to us. You know, we're going to keep fighting, and I hope this strategy will work. I'm going to trust the process. I know a lot of members might be disappointed that we weren't called, but you know, that still could be a possibility, and we're ready if and when we'll be called to walk out next.
So talk about this strategy of the targeted strike. We've never seen this before in U.S. history. And also, do you think a change in the leadership of the UAW, Shawn Fain became president in March, has made the difference here?
Yes, for sure. I mean, since our newly elected President Shawn Fain said, you know, this is going to keep the companies, keep them guessing, you know, and, you know, since he was elected on the campaign, the one member, one vote campaign from UAWD, United All Workers for Democracy, I think it's made a huge difference. You know, members are seeing more transparency. You know, we're getting constant updates, which we, you know, haven't seen in the past.
Does the union have a specific goal they're negotiating for? They're trying to get a 25% pay increase with subsequent 5% pay increases over the next 4 years, up to a 40% pay increase. They're also demanding temporary workers become full-time employees after 90 days on the job, because there are some people who've been there 2, 4, 6, 8 years and are still temporary employees. Along with 32-hour work week. They're asking for a lot of different things. And I would argue all of them deservedly. So yes, pensions, 401ks, all that stuff.
A couple contracts that I've been involved with. So the members are fired up, and we're ready, and we're united.
Yeah, it's possible that, you know, individual auto manufacturers will come to the table and agree to demands. So we'll see. We will see. I think it's gone down during talks. Possibly. It might still be on the table. I don't know. I know that all the workers on strike are doing a hard job by going on strike. In saying that, this does bring me such joy and helps me believe that all is not lost in the world. We got this. Exactly, Fire. Exactly. We have more power than they want us to believe we do. Every capitalist, every billionaire sits in their office day after day, fearing the day when the average working person realizes how much power they have. They're trembling in their boots. not only talking about the UAW, all the workers striking, all the people protesting around the world. Yeah, 100%.